Bum bum bum. Do 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 do. Hey everybody, come on in here. Grab your beverage. It's time for the early birds to have the simultaneous sip. Simultaneous sip coming up. Here we go. Hello from Maui. Yes, thank you for reminding me to put on my my microphone. How's that? Much better, right? All right. I found my glasses. So the mystery of the missing glasses is that my glasses and Christina's glasses actually look a lot alike, and she had picked mine up and moved them, and I didn't know it. Anyway. So I'm going to read you Ana Navarro's tweet from this morning. It's one of the best. It's one of the best tweets I've seen in a long time. So Ana Navarro is, I believe, a Republican who's anti-Trump and very anti-Trump, very, very anti-Trump. And here's her tweet from this morning. It says, in the last weeks, America learned Trump had simultaneous affairs with a stripper and a Playboy bunny. Nobody, parenthetically, other than possibly Melania, seemed to bat an eyelash. If the Russians have something on them, it's got to be a lot more than golden showers. So at this point, it's hard to tell even if Anna is on his side or not. Because isn't that true? That if the Russians have some kind of a sex scandal on President Trump, what good is it now? What the heck could he have been doing that is going to make us care at this point? So, of course, the implication here is, it must be a financial thing. But keep in mind he's got accountants and he's got good people making sure he stays out of trouble. So we'll see. Let's say you took the worst case scenario. Let's say the worst case scenario was that Mueller finds some kind of financial thing with Russia and goes after Trump for it. Is that going to matter? Because first of all, no matter what the charge is, a number of people are going to say it didn't happen. So a lot of the country won't believe it. But more importantly, you've got the question about indicting a sitting president. So probably he wouldn't be prosecuted, even if they thought they had a case, while he's president. Now, what if he decides to run again? And what if he's president until he's in his late 70s and they still haven't pursued the case? So let's say he has 8 years of good presidency with some kind of a financial thing hanging over him that he says didn't happen and is, a witch hunt. At the end of his 8th year, can't he pardon himself? or have whoever comes in behind him pardon him? It feels like there's almost nothing that can touch him at this point. Because he can run out the clock because he's a certain age, and he can just pardon himself. And who would expect him not to at that point? My guess is that if there's any kind of financial impropriety, it's going to be the kind that is a gray area. In other words, if Mueller found something, it wouldn't be just a crime. It would be something that you look at and you go, I don't know. I can't tell. Something was done. It looks like it could have been inappropriate, but you can't really tell. So that's my prediction, is that if anything comes out of Trump finances and Russia, it's not going to be a clean he did something or a clean he did nothing. That probably won't happen. It's going to be this weird gray stew of, well, there were things and people talked to people and there are a lot of coincidences involved, and how do we explain away these coincidences? So probably there's nothing there that will take him out of office. Now, I'm watching the anti-Trump media trying to explain how Trump's claim of no collusion can be sort of true in terms of at least the, in the narrow sense of the Facebook ads, can be true, but how could he still be wrong about Russia somehow? And it seems like what they've done is they're digging up various quotes of his where he refers to the Russia stuff, and here's the problem. Russia is not one thing. Russia is not one story. It's a little bit about Facebook ads, it's a little bit about hacking, it's a little bit about probably other stuff. So when Trump says stuff like he's not sure about the hacking part, that's not the same as saying Russia didn't interfere with our election, because that's just the hacking part. Now, here's the part that makes me really curious. Our intelligence agencies, who have collectively decided to back the story that Russia hacked the DNC, if they can do that, then they can do what regular hackers can't do, which is somehow they can determine definitely where a hack came from. Now, normal hackers can't do that, but maybe there's some government way that they can, or maybe they have human intel, possibly. Maybe. Sorry, just blocking some bad users here. But what's interesting is the President of the United States can ask the intel agencies, hey, show me exactly how you know that Russia hacked the DNC. Don't just tell me they did. I'm the commander-in-chief. You can tell me how you know. So show me the method that you found out that Russia hacked the DNC. Have you seen that yet? Have you seen the part where either the president says, yeah, I looked at all the DNC hacking information. I personally looked at what they have. And now that I've personally looked at it, I can say that they have something or they don't. Where's that part? Doesn't it feel like that's missing? Because you've got the intelligence people saying that Russia hacked. I believe, this is my interpretation, that when Putin denied messing with the election, I think Putin was referring to the hacking, because at that point the Facebook ads probably hadn't even come up yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Putin said to Trump, we didn't do it, at that point nobody was even talking about Facebook ads, were they? Maybe they were, but I don't know. Because the Facebook ads, by the time we knew about them, we already knew it was a Russian entity, right? So it seems to me they were talking about the hacking. Now keep in mind that WikiLeaks says it wasn't Russia that gave them the stuff. It doesn't mean it wasn't Russia that hacked, but it does mean that WikiLeaks is almost certainly telling the truth that they didn't get it from Russia. Yeah, now Kim Dotcom, famous 360-pound hacker, according to his own calculations, has been saying that it's Seth Rich. He's the one who got the data off the DNC. And he keeps saying that Mueller is ignoring him. I don't know if that's true. So here's what I think. I think the anti-Trump people are, whenever it's convenient to them, they're conflating the Facebook ad stuff with the hack stuff. So whenever they need, to support a story, they bounce between the two. So if you say, wasn't the Russian participation, or meddling in our affair. Is it true? They say yes, Facebook ads, of course. And of course, then they'll throw on the hacking. But if you were to say, is the hacking alone, just the hacking part, do we know that? I would say that according to WikiLeaks, we don't know it. And according to the President of the United States, he has not confirmed it, has he? Let me ask you this question, and just fact check me on this. Is it true that the President of the United States could ask his intelligence services to show him everything? That's true, right? He has the ultimate clearance. So there's nothing that the intelligence agencies have that they can't show President Trump. Now, there was the issue about whether they want to reveal their sources because they're afraid he'll tell somebody. But the fact is they work for him. And if he says, show me what you got, they have to do it. Now, have they done that? Well, it seems like they would have by now, right? So where is the part where these intelligence agencies either say, look, we showed what we have to the president and he agrees with us, or we showed what we have to the president and he's not convinced? I'm not sure they would say that. Or where's the part where President Trump says, I haven't seen the information that tells me the Russians hacked the DNC, or the part where he says that he has? Isn't there just a part missing in the story? Because at this point, everybody's on the same page about the Russian troll farm being involved. Not that it made a difference. But we're not really on the same page about the DNC hack. How come nobody's asked that question? So let me suggest this to the media who would like to ask this of the White House. You don't even have to ask the president. You could probably ask Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You could just say, have the intelligence agencies showed the president the details of how they know the DNC was hacked by Russians? Has he looked at the details? I'd like to know the answer to that, because if he has, then the next question, of course, is, do you believe it? Yeah, I've heard different opinions about the Seth Rich and the thumb drive. So some people say that because we can tell that the upload speed was a certain speed, it had to be a local thumb drive and not a hack. But I did read something that countered that idea. I forget the details, but there was a counter argument to that. I just don't remember what it was. So I'm not willing to. I would say at this point, I'm not willing to believe it was Seth Rich who stole the DNC data with a thumb drive and then was murdered for his work. I'm also not ruling it out. I think you can't rule it out, because certainly the dots do line up. I don't think we have any way to know. Maybe the hacked info was then uploaded to the flash drive. Yeah, I think there's more than a few possibilities of what happened here. There was proof that it was an inside job. I don't believe that. I believe there are reports that there's a reason to believe it was an inside job. That's different than proof. Troll farm is a Russia attack. That's true. So now that's something that we learned after Trump had said that the Russia thing was a fake. I heard Jennifer Rubin saying it was stupid to think that there should be concealed carry at schools because what good is a handgun against somebody with an AR-15? So let me say that again. So Jennifer Rubin said, what good would it be for somebody to have a concealed carry handgun in school, I'm assuming this is teachers, not students, against an AR-15? And my answer is pretty darn good. Because you know what? The guy with the AR-15 is not expecting return fire. The guy with the AR-15 is busy. He's shooting at the ground. All you have to do is walk up behind him. So if you give me a handgun and there's a school shooter, I'm going to get behind an object that will protect me from the shooter's bullets. The shooter will be shooting at lots of different targets, and his gaze will be turned in different directions. And I'll wait until he turns around, and then I'll start blazing. It feels like a handgun against an AR-15 would be very effective in a school shooter situation. On a battlefield, not so good. But it's not a battlefield, it's a chaos situation. Many, even with a handgun, would run. I don't know, would they? I've got a feeling that if you were in a mass shooter situation and you had a handgun, probably almost everybody would pull it out if they had a shot. I think almost everybody would. What about Las Vegas? Yeah, it would be, in that case the shooter was pretty far away, so a handgun wouldn't have helped you that much. Israeli teachers carry. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, and if more than one person has a handgun, then suddenly it's a fair fight. Two handguns from two different directions in a chaos situation, pretty good chance. Even if you shot in the air, the shooter would go for cover. Good point. All you'd have to do is, put one next to him, and the shooter is going to at least stop shooting. They're going to look for figure out what to do next. You probably noticed that Oprah said she's not planning to run for president. I'm going to count that as one of my successful predictions. I suppose anything could change, but probably won't. Drones will be shooting them based on facial recognition. So here's a scary question for you. You want to hear the scariest question ever? Could you ever create a bullet that could, correct itself in the air and also identify facial recognition? Will we get to a point where you shoot a bullet and the only thing it can hit is the person you're shooting at because it's using facial recognition? Probably. I mean, not in every situation, but there might be chances. I've told you what I imagine the battlefield of the future looks like, is that if you're not under cover, if you don't have like a roof over you when you're shooting, that someday we'll have a military drone over the battlefield, and it will just identify the location of every combatant on the other side, and then the army that owns the drone will have these guided bullets. They already have guided bullets that can go around corners, and they'll just shoot a bunch of guided bullets up in the air, pop, 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 so that they roughly come down in the area of the war zone. And as they come down, the drones will be guiding each of the bullets. So there'll be lots of bullets coming down, but the drones will be determining which way they steer, and they will just take out every combatant without hitting anything but people. Yeah, the self-guided bullet already exists. What doesn't exist is the drone control that controls multiple bullets all fired at once, so that every bullet can be sprayed out there and every bullet will find a person. So one of the reasons I think we might end up living in caves is it's too hard to defend the air. So the age of drones and drone warfare and mass shootings and all that, it might make it that people just go live underground, and you can't get to the underground unless you walk in naked or something. So that just nothing from the outside world ever gets underground. EMP will destroy but EMP will destroy more than the drones. That's the trouble. All right, is there any other big news? Anything happening this week? I feel like it's a slow week, and if we don't get some better news coming, we're all going to be sorry. Let's see what CNN's reporting. Let's see if there's any good news today. And by good, I mean noteworthy. Nope. We're still talking about the shooting. We're talking about the Black Panther movie and a little bit of Russia stuff. That's about it. All right, so once again, the news has gotten very quiet. Let me talk about, I said this before, but I'm going to throw this back in. It seems to me that there must be a solution to immigration. And in order to get an immigration deal, both sides need to claim that they won, or at least won enough. And so what would be a structure that you could change one of the suggested deals so that everybody has enough? And it seems to me that talking about the things that people probably could agree on, Democrats probably could agree to fund much of the wall. Republicans probably can agree to the 1.8 million having a 12-year path to citizenship. The problem is going to be with these lowering the total number of immigrants at the same time that you allow chain migration. And it feels to me that both of those things have the same solution. And the solution is merit-based immigration. So merit-based immigration, how you tweak the merit, in other words, how stringent the merit is, and what variables you put in to call merit, that those things solve both chain migration and the total number of people that you let in, the legal number of immigration. So in other words, the president could say, I'm not going to limit the number of people coming in on immigration. And then the Democrats could say, yay, that's what we want. We don't want you to cut it in half. But the president could still put enough merit-based variables in the mix that the effect is to reduce immigration, even if we don't have a law to do it. So in other words, we could say more the better, everybody's welcome, but everybody has to pass the same merit. So you could just stop talking about, or you could just agree that we're not going to cut the absolute number of immigrants. You could just say, we're not going to cut the number of immigrants. We're just going to have really good merit. Because if they pass this merit, we do want more of them. More the better, if they pass this bar. Likewise, with the chain migration, instead of saying chain migration is in or it's out, or instead of saying chain migration affects your immediate family but not your cousins, why don't we say chain migration is just part of the merit system? So part of having merit, and in this context, merit means, do you contribute to the country? Are you more of a plus than a minus? All right. Essentially, that's what merit gets you. And I would think that having family members who could stake you, set you up, get you off to a good start as a citizen should be a very important merit consideration. I'm sure it already is, right? So instead of separating chain migration and calling it a thing, and instead of talking about the raw number of legal immigrants that we're going to allow in and calling that as an issue, why not make both of those issues go away by saying the only thing we're going to care about is merit-based immigration? And we'll just adjust the level of merit until we have a number of immigrants that are positive for the country and good for us, and that the chain element is an important, but not the only reason to consider somebody for immigration. I would have no problem at all saying that let me say this with an example. If a DACA person gets in, they're already in, but let's say a DACA person gets a legal protection to stay, I would have no problem with them sponsoring a cousin if the cousin met all of the merit requirements. Because all things being equal, bringing somebody in who knows somebody, and can get them set up, feels like an advantage. But you just can't get rid of the merit part. You can't get rid of the extreme vetting part. You have to keep that. Now, what part of my plan wouldn't work? The best argument I've heard against the merit system, let me tell you the best argument I've heard against the merit system, and wait till you hear how bad it is. So the best argument against merit is, hey, what about this, this Haitian poor person who would not have gotten into the country with merit, but did get in under the old system, and then went to West Point, became an A student, perfect citizen. Aren't we glad that we got that Haitian student who, under a merit-based system, would not have gotten in? So aren't we better off with them? Now the answer is yes, we are better off with that specific person. That one awesome Haitian who would not have qualified did great. That's the Americans I want. I want more of that guy. Give me more of that Haitian guy. But here's the problem with the analysis. You can't then say, then we should let in people without merit, because some of them do great, and we don't want to lose the few that make it through and do great. I would say, if what you want is people who will do well in this country, the class of people who pass the merit filter in the first place are far more likely to produce more winners. If you want more people like that great Haitian kid who went to West Point and got straight A's and stayed out of trouble, if you want more of that guy, and I do, that guy seems awesome. The best way to get more of that guy is to have merit-based filters, because the filter gives you more of that guy. So if your argument is that Haitian guy who did great and he would not have passed the merit-based filter, then you are actually supporting the merit-based filter, because the merit-based filter gets you more of that guy. You want more good people, not more successful people. Well, I suppose the merit filter could get you everything you want as well. And I also think that from the Republican point of view, let me give you, everybody's always saying that the reason that the Democrats are in favor of more permissive immigration is that Democrats are trying to create more Democratic voters. If you let in maximum number of immigrants, you have the maximum number of new Democrats. But under the president's plan, if you've got this, let's say, a 12-year period to become a citizen, I don't know what it is if you come in legally. How long does it take you to become a citizen if you immigrate legally? Can anybody fact check me on that? Under the current system, if you come in legally, 14 years, is that right? 5? Does it just depend? 5 years, 5 years? All right. Well, suppose you did this. Suppose Republicans made this offer. And I suppose it depends on where they're coming from and who it is and what circumstances and all that. Suppose the president said that the DACA people can get a path to citizenship in 12 years. The people who come in legally can have a path to citizenship in, let's say, X number of years, whatever it is. Maybe it's the same as we have now. But let's say that they can't vote until the 12th year. We'll just say that. Only for negotiating purposes. So that the Republicans have 12 years to figure out how to win a larger share of the immigrant vote. Now here's my thing. The people who are, in office right now, they've got 12 years to worry about this problem. Problem being the number of immigrants coming into the country who could become citizens and vote Democratic. In 12 years, if you can't figure out how to win more votes from that crowd, and remember, let me just say, if you can't win their vote in 12 years, if you haven't figured out how to make them happy, how to make it work, well, you probably didn't deserve their votes. Why any immigration at all? So somebody asks, why have any immigration at all? Now that's similar to the question of what is better, the current level of legal immigration or what Trump has, I guess, he's proposed, which is about half of that. How would you know which is better? If all the people coming in are positive, in other words, if they're vetted, they come through the merit filter, I don't know why we wouldn't want more of them. Because if they're adding to the GDP, they're adding to the IQ of the country, they're adding to the good behavior of the country because they've been chosen as people who would do that. It feels to me like they would be additive. Now, if you're worried about, here's another idea. Suppose the Republicans offered this deal. We'll give you full immigration legally as long any year in which the unemployment rate is below a certain level. Yeah, listen to this. It's a pretty good idea. Let's say that Republicans offer the same amount of immigration that we have now, which is not what they're offering. They're offering half that. But suppose they say, we'll give you the full immigration any year in which the unemployment rate in this country is below a certain threshold. If our unemployment rate starts climbing, then we'll adjust legal immigration, in a similar way, ongoing, so as not to make it worse. So keep in mind that the United States has a demographic bomb, meaning that we're aging. So the United States is an older country, and that has some problems because you need young workers to support the retired people. So we actually have an imbalance that we need to correct, and immigration is probably the way it's going to get corrected, bringing in more smart people, more young people. We need an almost unlimited number of young, smart people to keep the country vibrant. All right, so those were my suggestions. Control the total number of immigrants, the legal ones, based on our unemployment rate, so that you know exactly why we would limit them. That way it's not personal. We just say we're only going to limit you because of our own unemployment rate. That's it. That solves the number of people coming in. The DACA stuff, just tie that to merit and just make that one of the variables. Now, the place you would negotiate is when you're building your merit filter. How much value do you put on being related to someone who's sponsoring you from the country? Now, you could negotiate on that. That might be 20%. Democrats might want it to be 75%, maybe, but somewhere around 50%, you probably have a deal. So it sounds to me that the Democrats, well, let me reframe this. It feels to me that because the president has made his proposal, and to the best of my knowledge, there is not a counter proposal that addresses it directly. I think the Congress just sprayed out 3 different plans and took a vote, and nobody liked any of them. But we haven't seen anything that's like a counter proposal. Short of the counter proposal, I think the president can credibly claim that it's the Democrats' fault if DACA doesn't get fixed. To me, that feels fair. All right. Now, of course, it takes 2 parties to dance, right? So it's not like it's all one side's fault ever. It usually isn't anyway. Usually it's both sides being a little hard-headed. But in this case, the lack of a Democratic counteroffer that is somehow related to the president's offer, the fact that it doesn't exist clearly makes them the problematic party. So if Democrats want to find a way to make this work, they should tie chain migration to merit. They should tie the number of people coming into the country to the employment level. And did that solve everything? The other thing was replacing the lottery with merit. I feel like they should be talking about what merit is. All right, so yeah. So I think the entire thing comes down to the president's deal would work if you put an employment trigger and you agreed on what it means to have merit. And if having relatives in the country, how much of a variable that is for merit, then you have got a deal. Right? So I'm pretty sure I just described a deal that would work. Who thinks that wouldn't work, by the way? I mean, it might not work for political reasons, but what is the merit idea? So the idea of merit, to the best of my knowledge, has not been defined. So I'm suggesting that's how you solve the impasse, is by talking about what merit means. All right? So if, for example, our unemployment rate starts inching up, then merit might mean you can get in if you have a certain kind of skill that we need more of. We just don't have enough of them. But if the unemployment rate is really low, then maybe merit means, well, you have a job, that's fine. Anybody with a job, anybody with a skill, come on in. So you could adjust merit based on other factors. But merit usually is education. It could be, what groups you've belonged to. So if you used to be in Al Qaeda, that probably counts against you. Certainly if you have relatives here, if you have a plan, if you have enough resources to get started, if you can speak the language, that's a start. Don't need immigrants. So I think whoever says don't need immigrants is actually factually wrong. Meaning that I think because of our age, the fact that Americans are older means that our economy, I believe, you'd have to fact check this with me, right? But I believe economists would agree with the following statement, that the United States economy, and therefore all of our well-being, would be better off with more young immigrants who have skills. I believe all economists agree with that. But if there's anybody who doesn't agree with that, who's an actual economist, I'd like to hear the argument. I'm basically saying Americans don't have kids, so we need to import them. Yes, that's basically what I'm saying. The birth rate, as you get richer, goes down. So because we're a wealthy, established country, our birth rate is not that high. And we probably do need to get some younger, talented people in here. Yeah, Germany has intelligent kids and they have to import. Germany's a good example. They don't create enough workers. They have to import. Money requirement for entry. I think you could have as part of your merit system, maybe 2 tracks. One track is you're a certain kind of person. You're young enough, you're talented, you're connected to somebody, you speak English. But you could have another standard, which is you have to bring in a lot of money and buy your way to the front of the line. If somebody is well vetted and they're bringing in $10 million to the country and they're older, and you say, will you bring all of your $10 million into the country? And they say, sure, just let me in. I'd say, maybe we should. It's already a thing that if you bring in a lot of money. So that's where the discussion needs to happen. The immigration question should turn into a what does the merit system look like question. And then you've got someplace to work. Because you're also, and by the way, if you start talking about what the merit system looks like, the specifics of it, you're also making everybody think past the sale. So that's a good conversation to have. Ask Ann Coulter. Well, Ann has some strong opinions. She's fun to watch, but I don't agree with everything she says. First generation gets no welfare or no vote. Yeah, you could also tweak things by how long it takes, how long people have to wait before they can vote, what is our unemployment rate, and what are the variables that go into merit, whether it includes having a family member here or not. Those 3 things, there's plenty of room to negotiate on. And the fact that the Democrats have not suggested a counter-negotiation to Trump's plan kind of puts them in the bad situation. What about bringing in immigrants from third world countries who wouldn't pass the same merit filters? Well, why would you be bringing in people who did not pass the merit filter? I don't know why you do that. Have full employment, say 1% of citizens. For those of you who are not trained economists, let me explain what the phrase full employment means. In real economic terms, to say we have full employment does not mean everybody has a job. In economic terms, somewhere around 4% is unemployment, is called full employment. And the reason is you need a little bit of slop in the system, a little bit of unemployment to make it work right. That's the wrong way to say it. A healthy system has people changing jobs a lot. So somebody will, maybe get fired from this one, this company closes down. There's a little time before they get the new job. So around 4% unemployment is actually the optimum healthy level, and we're pretty close to that. You don't ever want to get to 1% because that makes inflation go out of control. If it was 1%, everybody would just be poaching other people's employees. It would just be a mess. All right, I think we've said enough for today. I'm going to sign off now after a good simultaneous sip. Does anybody have their coffee? Join me if you will for a simultaneous sip.